I know that General Filisola wrote, I think it's called Memoirs: A History of the Revolutionary War in Texas. And now, how does that book differ from the one that you present?
Okay. Uh, this was actually one of the reasons I like this book so much. He wrote it, I edited it,
Okay.
and it was translated. It had never been translated into English, this his analysis of the military diary. So he wrote that in 1838, and it had never been translated. It's a very rare book, but there was a doctor in Dallas who talked to a friend of mine and said he'd like to get it translated. And they told him he should talk to me because I'd used it for my book, Sea of Mud. So we got it translated by a professional translator who's very good. And then I edited the book. And what it is, the good thing about it is there's all kinds of detail about the different locations, about what they were up to, what they were doing. But it's also interesting because it's a direct attack on General Urrea. Filisola, after Santa Anna was captured at San Jacinto, Filisola became the commander. He was number two. Well, Urrea was the commander of a different division, and Urrea claimed later that he was vehemently against the retreat, that they never should have retreated. But if you look at his actions, they speak louder than his words. Urrea was a Federalist and a liberal, and Filisola was a conservative and a centralist. So politically, they didn't have the same views. And I think Urrea was very anxious for the Mexican army to stay in Texas so that he could go back because he was at the head of the retreat. He always claimed that he was vehemently against it, but he was at the head of the retreat. So he was the first one that got back to Matamoros, and he started fairly quickly uh, 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 started revolutions in Mexico. So he was trying to overthrow the Mexican government. And Filisola, he attacked him. Urrea attacked him in a book called The Military Diary of General Jose Urrea. And immediately Filisola responded with his analysis of the military diary. So he takes everything that Urrea says in his book and attacks it and responds to it. And he gives lots of detail. It's amazing how much detail. He talked about when they retreated past Goliad that they could see the paper from the paper cartridges from the battle.
Mhm.
And those are the kind of little details that I just love. And there's a lot of that in. He describes the wooden fence at the Borden place near Richmond Rosenberg where they camped, and they burned that place down. But and he described a lot of detail about Borden's place. So, I mean, it's just fascinating. And as an archaeologist, so that's the kind of detail that you love when you're trying to find these sites. So that's a very valuable source, and I used it for my book. But of course, I wrote my Sea of Mud book before we translated this, so I just translated small parts of it.